Yes, welcome back to the South Australian Sports Show. We want to get some of the legends that played in the SANFL, and they were a bit of a character when they played, Baz.
And we couldn't get one.
Yeah,
So we got
I reckon our next guest, mate, he played close to 175 games with Woodville, West Torrens, and had a fairly good career, 12-year span in the SANFL. Steve Jacquier is our guest. Steve, thanks for your time, mate.
I don't know about legend though, but
Legends
in my own lunchbox.
I'll tell you what, you're a legend off it.
Mate,
It's not good when you get more touches off the field than on, is
That's
it?
exactly
not
right,
good, is it?
Well, you can have a little bit of a dip because you grew up as a Port supporter. I think your dad played one game for Port Adelaide, but you were zoned in the Findon Woodville area, so all your footy was with Woodville.
Yeah, I played juniors under 17s, and then I'd get in the car straight after that, straight in the car with mum, dad, bang, straight to wherever Port were playing, even at Elizabeth. But then learned to hate them pretty quick when you played the league the next year and they flog you, so you hate them in a hurry.
Mate, I made a couple of phone calls before you came on to try and find out blokes that played with you to get an idea of what you were like to play with. And the word was, mate, that you were passionate, you were committed, and gave everything to the footy club over a 12-year journey. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, well, being a local boy, you do all the stuff you have to. And I was a policeman at the time, so I was a shift worker, so I had plenty of time to be able to do coaching clinics and stuff. So I loved the kids, so I did more clinics than probably anyone in the SANFL, I reckon. And loved that and seeing the kids come through. And that was I had green in one eye and yellow in the other after getting rid of black and white. So.
But you played with a lot of great characters, and I mean that. And Woodville were very similar to Port Adelaide in a sense where you had a group or a group of players that were very close together. You partied a lot together off the field. Not when I say partied, I don't mean.
Yeah, we gatherings. We had lots of gatherings. Yes,
but they were, weren't they? A lot of great characters in the Woodville Footy Club, and in fact, a lot of Port Adelaide people would attend a lot of Woodville Football Club gigs.
It was probably a little bit sad actually that we were everybody's second side because we were probably poor and didn't win a lot of games, so everyone sort of felt a bit sorry for us, and that's not what you play sport for. You want to actually be hated like Port do. Everyone hates Port because they're so good, whereas everyone loved us because poor Woodville. So really it wasn't something we didn't like that title very often, but everyone sort of gave it to us, and we were quite close back in those days because we would cross that line and it was like war, but then had the ability to be able to go into the bar and drink and socialise with the opposition and the umpires and everybody back in those days. And then because of the nightclub scenario and the pubs around the area, Saturday through and Sunday, we could sort of socialise with obviously Port around the corner, West around the corner, Torrens around the corner, the Bays and South and everyone. So we got on well with people off the field as well.
Okay, passionate, committed, and a social animal. They left out the social animal on the.
I mean that. Woodville were a fantastic bunch of blokes. Jack and all his buddies.
Let's talk about one of your buddies, mate. So the biggest legend's got to be Ralphie Sewer, doesn't it? And you and him are still close mates. If my research tells me that, you would have been some funny stories with Ralph across the journey.
I mean, chalk and cheese. On the field, the most dedicated, hard-working, aggressive, tough, meanest player, and probably the best. We all know back in those days, playing half-forward flank like Ralph did in a poor side, how'd he get a kick? Well, he made stateside after stateside. He
certainly did.
As playing on the bottom side and playing on a half-forward flank.
Why do you reckon he never left?
Well, he went to the Bays, chased a premiership there, but...
That was more towards the end, though,
but it was because of that, what you're talking about, Baz, about... We just had a really close friendship, and probably because when you're losing a lot, you've only got yourselves to sort of stay with and hang on to life, for a better word. And so Ralph was like a freak player on it. Off the field, a freak guy. He's still, without doubt, the softest, nicest guy, selfless guy you will ever do. If someone needs some money, not money because he doesn't still got his first lunch money, I reckon. But he'll make meals for people. He'll drop in on people. If anyone's sick, he's the first one to the hospital. He's one of those great guys like that.
He was.
But he was a bit of a larrikin as well, and loved a little drink and. Could have 3 or 4, and that should have perhaps been his limit, but he'd have 44, and that's where he got himself in a little bit of trouble. But a lot of that was blown out too. If there was any trouble anywhere, it was always Ralph, and it wasn't always Ralph, and that's the problem. That it was associated. It was always Ralph, and it wasn't fair.
Well, I went to school with Ralph at the Angle Park Boys Technical College of Advanced Education. Which was quite staggering, but him and Colin McVicker were very, very close as well. but a very good footballer. Ralphie was one of those guys who, in today's game, he would turn a game in 5 minutes. He was one of those types of players who, had he been in a really good side, a top side, he would have slaughtered them, wouldn't he?
100%. And I think any player plays well on a better side. It's difficult playing in a poor side, no matter what grade, whether it be amateur league right through. It's tough, and especially that position where you're not an on-baller and you don't go and find the footy.
That's right.
He had to wait for us to deliver it to him. And we didn't always deliver it to him.
Hey, before we run out of time, you finish your footy career. 12 years is a hell of a good run in the SANFL at top level. And you had to fight some injuries along the way. Then you went to coaching. A player that's passionate and committed like you were and got the best out of himself, just milked everything he could out of, then goes to coaching and finds that some of the players are not quite like that at the Gazer Footy Club where you started. Was it frustrating at the start?
Well, yeah, you don't want to go to a club and be the ex-league footballer that's, he's got his head up his you-know-what and all that. So you've got to try and find that mix, and it's to try and increase their level of professionalism is what it's about in stages. And it is disappointing when you see these boys with so much talent.
Yeah.
And where are you? Why didn't you come to training last night? Oh, it was cold. Or why didn't you come to training? I had to work, and you know they're not at work, and so on and so on. And as you know, and I always bring up about Roger Federer. If Roger Federer stopped training and trained only 70% of what he does,
I'd beat him.
He'd still beat us just. But he wouldn't be anywhere near as what he could be, and I think that's what it was like coaching amateur league. You try and lead a horse to water, you can't always make it drink. And you can make it drink beer, but you can't always make it drink water.
So. Mate, you've helped a lot of clubs out when they've got into trouble. We did it at McLaren, was it? You helped them out for half a year when they were in strife. Then you became a footy director at Foss Camden because your son went there to play, and a lot of his mates from Emmanuel, I would have thought, joined.
Yeah.
That a good experience?
Yeah, it's tough. It's like all amateur league clubs, or probably all clubs, too few do too much, and it puts a strain on everyone, and you almost marry the club for the time being, and you put in a lot of work and a lot of rewarding work too, but it's a tough gig, and you've got so much to do, and you don't just end up being the footy director, or you don't just end up being the bar manager. You do about 15 hats, and that's what's tough. If you could just have the one job, that'd be fine, and but that's where it becomes difficult.
You still look in reasonable nick, Jack. I said reasonable. I didn't say good nick.
Yeah, I'll go back a bit further. I'll get better the further I go away.
What you do, mate? You look, but you're having. They tell me you're having a bit of an op coming up.
Yeah, I had lots of knee problems through my footy, and my bad knee was bad. It was about 6 years ago. I was going to have a replacement, and gave that the flick and had my shoulder done instead, and had a replacement with that. And then the last 6 months, my left knee's been going bad. So I've seen Dr. Matthew Liptak a couple of times, and I just left this morning, and he booked in for a month's time to get
it done. We'll give Lippy a call, mate, because if you go in for a knee and he does your shoulder, he's got something going wrong with him. So he's a great surgeon.
Well, he did my knee in December to see if I could sort of buy a couple of years, and you go in there and you've got your gown on, he puts a texture mark on your leg, and I said to him, you might want to put it on the other one. He's gone, oh. Really? And he scribbled it all out and scribbled it all over me. I think he might have just been taking the Mickey a bit.
Steve Jacquier was our special guest. Always good to catch up with you, Jack. Hopefully the surgery goes well. Stay with us. A bit more to come on the show.